Calling this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. It is 5:30. Will we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ms. Torres, can you lead us?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Present.
member. Present. Present.
Thank you. And I know we had Ms. Delgadillo on before starting the meeting. Ms. Delgadillo, can you hear us?
Mr. Ayala, will pull your mic down.
She's reconnecting. All right.
Testing. There you go.
So I guess we're having technical difficulties. Okay, so we're going to continue, and as soon as she comes in, let us know so that we can have it on the record. Okay, moving on to 2.1, comments from the audience. Do we have any comments from the audience? Thank you. We have Salud Visa?
Yeah.
Oh, so you have, give me 1 second here. Before you begin, let me go ahead and read my content. Under comments from the audience, the public may address the board on any subject not listed on the agenda. An individual may only address the board once under this item. 5 minutes may be allotted to each speaker, but can be extended by a board member if so desired. The board cannot act on a non-agenda item and cannot respond to issues other than to give general information or giving direction to the superintendent to add to a future agenda or for the superintendent to follow up with the speaker. The individual should state his or her name and address before addressing the board. So, yeah, 5 minutes.
My name is Luisa. West 13th Street and here in Somerton in 5350. I came here because I have kids in Somerton Middle School. They're both in 7th grade. And the main reason, my main problem is that I know for that the grading system is not working. It's not working because when I started school 9 weeks ago, I read the parent rules, whatever they call it, and I know that I can access it. So I set up a report. Every day at midnight, I think Tuesday morning and Friday morning, I get a report on their grades and their attendance. And so, of course, after maybe a couple of weeks, I started logging in and I started noticing that they were missing assignments. And I would say, okay, Grace, we should assignments. Be sure to do it. You have it in your backpack or whatever. No, Mom, we submitted it. Okay, well, I gave it back a couple more weeks. Then after that, I started emailing it directly. Okay, my kids are saying that they submitted the assignment. And can you please check? Because I know it's live, whatever. So then some of the teachers were saying, oh, yes, I just haven't graded it. It's out of it today, tomorrow, this weekend. Okay. So then, but it wasn't happening with all the teachers. And I honestly, I emailed maybe 4 or 5. And then after that, I started to notice in the very box. It said last time graded or last time reviewed, and it gives you a date. And then I started noticing that for some classes, well, the teachers were taking out 10 days to grade them. To me, it's completely unacceptable because yes, you may have the parents that don't care, but I don't treat it on a daily basis. And yes, I understand there's a lot of students, and I don't expect to have the grades to be graded every day. Yes, but for them to take 10 days, it's just excessive. Because in 10 days, I'm pretty sure that my kids did more than one assignment. Then another thing that I have is the way that the assignments have in the system is wrong. I mean, I did simple math in one of the instances, for example, that I had 2 days with my kids. And again, this I already emailed pretty much everyone. And so they know that I have an issue with this grade. So I think 2 days ago, or a day, or like that is 20 points, and he got 16 points right. From an 100%, that weighted grade brought him down to an 88%. It's impossible. Even if that, I mean, I cannot believe that weighs 80% or 60% or 75% of the grade. So my kid has been doing everything excellent for 9 weeks, and to have that one grade miss 4 points and for you to bring him down a letter grade is, I just don't know how the math works in that. Anyway, so I emailed the vice principal, and I love getting screenshots of things. So I sent her the screenshot, and I think they were on training for the last 2 days, so she emailed me, I believe, last night. And I checked on my kid's grade. I don't know what happened, but it went back to the 97, which is in my math, what he was supposed to have, the 78. So I don't know what happened, what the disconnect is, but I think that proves to me that there's nothing wrong. And I think it's not fair for them to have a mom that has to be doing all this checking with people for systems to work. The second little thing that I saw for my daughter, she had an assignment that was worth 100 points. It was an essay. She was, well, we're going to have to go. I'm like, Mia, did you do this assignment? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I submitted. Okay, I sit down for 30 minutes. I said, Mia, show me before I start asking. Show me that you submitted. She showed me. Okay. Then I emailed the teacher. She called me back. The teacher called me back, and she said, oh, yeah, I have both. Sandra and Mia. Mia submitted the assignment. Sandra and Mia. Sandra submitted the assignment. Mia did it. I'm like, okay, can you please get her today before she leaves to home and check her iPad and make sure, because I saw it. That time I was like, I saw the assignment. Yes, of course. Then the teacher checked with Mia. They saw the assignment, and she literally told my daughter, oh, it's weird. That is not transferring to my laptop. Again, I don't see how parents need to be checking on their kids' grades every day for these little glitches to not happen. The teacher ended up asking my daughter to print out the essay, and she had to manually grade it. And she got the grade, I believe, this morning. So that's kind of like in a nutshell. And I'm pretty sure if I go back to every single grade, I'm gonna see things, because I think how I should have done my fifth grades. But I think they closed yesterday or today. So that's that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I mean, I do appreciate you bringing these concerns to us. I think these are very valid concerns, and we'll make sure Dr. follows up with you with the more detailed summary of a follow-up.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to 2.2, recognition of students with AASA perfect score.
The teachers are here, principals are here as well.
Dr.
We need all the students to come up, and we would like the board to come forward so that we can shake hands. We have some students in our district that had received and earned from a lot of work, hard work and study, perfect scores on their ASA last year. I think this is quite commendable. So we are very, very proud of our students. We have a lot of excellent scores, but this is something a little extra. To get 100%, that's pretty amazing. So if we could have the Desert Sonora principal and staff, Desert Sonora principal and staff come forward. If the teachers are here. Is it on? All right. So Miss Arthur, would you like to call the students? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Susana Londo, and I'm the principal of Desert Sonora. And I am very proud to present, I have 2 students this evening to highlight. The first student is not here this evening, but I do want to mention his name. His name is Heber Garcia Beltran. And he is one of 2 students who received 4th grade perfect score in mathematics. So we can clap for him. And last but not least, I wanted to highlight our second student. His name is Jorge Aron Molina, and he is here with his parents. So you can join us, Jorge.
Thank you, Mrs. Seymour. All right, we have ELC principal come forward, any staff members that might be here. We have 2 students as well. And one of them received perfect scores in both subjects.
Good evening, Jessica Escalante, principal at Encanto Learning Center. And yes, we do have our current 6th grader, last year in 5th grade. The student received a perfect score in math and ELA. It's Javi Gabriel Gutierrez Garcia. And then we also have in our current 5th grader received a perfect score in math, Rafael Tamayo.
Principals from Terry Del Sol and any staff members come forward. We have 2 students from Terry Del Sol. Pretty amazing. Beautiful photographer.
Thank you. I'm Felix Sierra, the principal, and I'm also very excited to be able to present 2 of our students. And I think I want to highlight the fact that they were 3rd graders when they took this test, so their first state assessment, and they got perfect scores in the area of math. So congratulations to Mr. Adrian Nolasco. And Santiago Vázquez.
Have all the students come up for one big group picture. If you can come back up, and the teachers and the principal come back up for one big group picture. Mr. Duarte will take it, and then you'll take one for us. That'd be great. Thank you, thank you. Great job, girls.
That's amazing, right? How can we top that? Moving on to 3.1, report from Dr. Null.
Well, we have been continuing to work on construction. You might notice that our flagpoles are not up yet at the 2 schools, but we did get the change order approved by the School Facilities Board, and that allows us to pay for it out of that funding. So anyway, that's starting to get progress, and they ordered the poles And now we're just waiting for the delivery and hopefully it'll be coming up pretty soon. And then also, I have been following up with the consideration of a bond for future construction. And I've had contact with Stiffel and Associates, and also with our attorney, Gus Rosenfeld's our group. And within their group, it's James Gael that would assist us. And then I'm interviewing or talking to a couple other representatives that would potentially guide us in the first part of the process. So if I understand it correctly, this person, the people that I'm talking to now, interviewing now, would walk us through the initial steps and the whole kind of process, whereas our attorney would take care of the contractual agreements that need to be made throughout. And then Stiffel and Associates would be the ones who would work with us once we get a bond for how that money flows and where it goes. So that's my layman's way of expressing what I'm learning and doing with them. So next week I have a meeting with 2 representatives, and we should be up and ready to know what we want to present to you by the following week. So by the November meeting, I hope we will have some details.
Okay. Ms. Sendejas, are you on?
Mrs. Delgadillo?
Ms. Delgadillo, sorry. You keep going. Okay. Any questions or comments for Dr. Knoll? No? Thank you, Dr. Knoll. Moving on to 3.2, report from Ms. A.
Good evening, everyone. Some of the information that we'll talk more about later on the facilities request form is what I'll speak to mostly when we get there. So I really don't have anything else right now.
No questions or comments? Okay. Moving on to 4.1, board members report and board attendance. Ms. Delgadillo? Ms. Ariola?
I had the opportunity to go to Sun Valley Elementary to present the recognition and the classroom to our beloved student Allison. It was just a blessing. It was just so overwhelming just to be there and present that recognition, and not having her there and all the love she brought into the school and her taking that school to the next level. It was so hard. It was heartbreaking, but just to see the community there, it was great to know that we have that community support. And I was able to also go to Encanto, to the PTO, and just be involved. And, it was a good opportunity to be out there.
Awesome. Ms. Torres?
Just want to thank all the teachers and schools for all of the social media content that's been out there. I feel like I've been lurking and stalking on everybody's pages, but I think it's great. As a parent, I really appreciate the communication, so keep that up. Congratulations to SMS wrestling team on the championship. There's a lot of great things that are going on, and you guys made it through the quarter. Was able to attend the SMS PTO, and so I think it went well. We're addressing the vaping issues, and those are things that as a mom, as a member of the community, I love to see. So keep it up, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Ms. Clark?
Nothing at this time.
And I do want to say, I hope you all have a relaxing and restful fall break next week. Take care of, self-care is very important, and, we need you to relax and so that you can be ready for our students. So take that time off. Also want to go ahead and say, great job on having our students here for the perfect score. I think we as board members, we appreciate and we really enjoy celebrating these students for their hard work. So that's all I have. So moving on to consent agenda. Dr. Arnold, you were going to say something on consent agenda?
I need to make one note on item 6.3, number 26. We wrote down, we made a mistake on the school identification. It says SMS and it's SVS. It's an individual person coordinator for an account. So it should be SVS, not SMS. So we'll make that note. So let me take that.
So are there any questions or comments or someone wishing to pull something from consent agenda? No? Need a motion?
So move.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.1. Ms. Delgadillo, are you on? Okay. So 7.1, acceptance of the following donations, FY 23-24.
This is just the standard process, all the donations come to the board.
Need a motion? Motion was made by Ms. Torres,
Second?
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 7.2, approval of engagement agreement for potential 2024 bond election.
So this is a document that does not require signature, but we wanted to make it everything upfront. So the Stifel and Associates, I signed an agreement with them saying that we will work with them on the bond at the end. They are covered under the different purchase agreements, so we don't have to do any fancy process. It doesn't require your signature, but I did want to make sure you knew. And also the legal representation letter, our attorney is Gus Roosevelt, and Mr. Gill would be our person that in that organization that would be specific to walk us through the different legal aspects. And so I just wanted to make sure this was all up and up, and we would appreciate a motion to approve the engagement agreement that doesn't require your signature. Maybe it doesn't require board action, but we want to make sure you see it.
And there is content under executive content for all of this. So, any questions or comments? Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve the engagement agreement for potential 2024 bond election.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.3, approval of HB 2060, which allows Somerton School District Number 11 to select Dibbles as our kindergarten entry assessment.
Say, would you like to just start?
So the state has given us the flexibility to choose our own kinder assessment. And so as we saw in the law conference, that was changed. And so we are proposing that we go ahead and adopt the Dibbles system, the Dibbles diagnostic system for that. We already have it in place. This is from Nana's, our instructional services director, also confirmed it follows along with the dyslexia component that we need to have in order for it to be, eligible for one of the assessments that we utilize. So we're proposing that we go ahead and approve that for our district.
Any questions or comments? Need a motion? Motion was made by Ms. Torres,
Second?
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.4, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve or deny the release of Evelyn Vizcarra Hurtado from her contract FY 23-24, effective 9/11/23. And there is a letter under executive content. Questions or comments? Need a motion?
So move?
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 7.5, discussion and possible action to waive or fine 1% of Evelyn Vizcarra Hurtado's FY 23-24 contract.
As you know, we normally an exhibit, it shows you that we normally do charge a fee when someone wants to release from contract, but there are extenuating circumstances here, including the inability of a person to get the certificate requirements for highly qualified. And so we would like to, no harm, no foul, we'd like to we're recommending not to fine.
And again, there is a letter under executive content for us to view. So the recommendation is to waive the fee, right? Need a motion? Motion was made by Ms. Torres,
Second.
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 7.6, discussion and possible action to approve the survey questions of the board self-evaluation, BAA.
That time of year, how you want to go about it.
Mhm. Yeah, and Mary, I do appreciate you sending us the questions to see if any one of us have any modifications or changes that we wanna make. And this was very similar to what we did last year, right? It's the same questions.
These are the ones that we put out electronically, so you also need to tell us if you want us to do that again, or do you just want to do a self-evaluation, or we could put it out and get the numbers or input from others.
I personally like to get the input from our stakeholders, from our teachers and everyone else. So I'd say just keep the same process as last year, send it out to staff, and then we'll reflect on the responses. Yeah. Mhm. Does anyone else want to add anything, or?
Me too. I agree.
Good. Okay, so need a motion? Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 7.7, discussion and possible action to approve the updated community use of school facilities form KF-EB.
I feel like saying, don't even get us started. But to summarize, Ms. Day has worked very hard to take our policy, which had been added to over time, but never deleted, nothing taken out. And so the actual policy number is KF, but E stands for the exhibit, and exhibit B is the second exhibit. So in our actual policy, we had the policy itself, KF, then we had KF something, and then we had KFEA, EB, and EC. And so Ms. Say and I worked together. Ms. Say did most of the work, and she combined it so that now we take out the existing exhibits, which were EB and EC, and we keep the KFA document, but we replace those others with this document, and she's made it so that the things that were added or moved around are in red. And so we're looking for your approval to accept this as the exhibit for how a person or a group would sign up to use our facilities. The form that we had, you had to look in multiple places in order to get all the pieces. And the way she has it organized, if you go back up to the top, let's say, it starts right at the beginning on page 1 with the pieces that the person needs to fill out. And then as more details are given through the different pages, they can kind of work their way through to finish it out. So, Ms. Say, did you want to say something about that?
You said it pretty well, but it is collapsing EB and EC into one document. We added the rules, regulations, and then part of the policy, which you see there, so that we see that the code of conduct and so forth. So as I was researching and finding the way other districts in the state had done it, I found some samples that were like that, and that was very nice, because then when you give Alicia the packet, they have that code of conduct and the regulations and everything in that. Also, I reorganized how we would have the signatures, and so we have the rules and regulations, which we added 13 and 14. per our last discussion, okay? So cleaning the facility, putting things back so that they don't leave things a big mess for the custodial staff. Also 14, any restitution for any issues or breakage that might occur. And so that's there. Everything else is the same. Then KFA has been added in. I also am recommending that we leave it separate also in the policy, in the board policy, just so it's there on its own. But in this packet, I've added it here so that when we print it right away for anyone who's coming to inquire, it's there. As we go down, we come to the last page. I also referenced all the legal, cross-referenced all of the other policy, and then we have the leasing agreement. And in our our previous exhibits, this was all very discombobulated, even the format didn't look good. So by putting it together here, I was able to consolidate some things and kind of whittled it down to one page. Actually, it was sprawled out between two and a half pages. So I was able to do that. You'll notice in the note right here, the little bit of the procedure, okay? Request for the use of property and/or equipment needs to be inquired at the district office, so it tells them where they need to go, right? And then approval by site administrator and the district office to ensure that they are able to use the facility. Because we want to make sure there's no conflict with what's going on at the site. That takes precedence with what our students are doing. That's first and foremost. And then the last page is all of the district use signatures. I also added, I did not put it in red, but the maintenance director signature, the business administrator, and then a superintendent. Because we need to also have the maintenance director take note of any staff members that may need to be there, and they may need to assign. So that's something that we needed to have as well. So that was all part of the actions for the district for approval and recommendations from the site principals. So I took into account all of the pieces that we discussed. So legally, we're good with that once you all approve it. And then if you'll go back to the class on the first page. So before, we also had only class 1, 2, and 3. And I separated out to 4 per different examples that I found. And so then on page 2, you'll see the fee schedule. So class 1 is no charge. That's basically anything for the school, only school-sponsored activities, right? And then class 2 are those athletics, sports, scouts, those that will be involving our students, but they're outside entity, so they would have a fee. And then class 3 are those other community college, community concerts, churches, recitals, all of those others. That's in class 3. And then class 4 separates it for commercial or for-profit organizations, so that we have those for-profit in a separate category. So that kind of clears it up as well, because we know that typically class 1, 2, and 3 will not be for profit most of the time, and they're somewhat for students, and or all for students. And then class 4 is the other. I also added the exception because we do have an IGA with the city of Somerton, and I did call Mr. Galaviz on that, and they are still working on the IGA. But he agreed that this exception there would be fine, and then once we as a district decide on the IGA and the components of it, then that will be covered here. So as a district, we know that some of the events that might be sanctioned between the city of Somerton and the Somerton School District may have an exception because we have that IGA, there wouldn't be a fee there, okay? I also added in the rental and utilities fees. So instead of listing every single school, except for the SMS gym with showers, because they're the only campus that has that, I just kind of labeled it multi-purpose room, all schools, kitchens, all schools, or all sites, because I put all departments or sites, because what if they would like to utilize the district office and the district office kitchen for whatever? maybe there's a small meeting. So anyway, I was trying to think of anything and everything, and then in future, what if we have more gymnasiums and more things like that as we're growing? So it kind of covers any future growth, hopefully. And I believe that's about it. Then we also added in on page 3, which you saw last time, the technology use, which was great that had just come up. It's requesting technology staff. And so we needed to make sure that was taken care of as well. And then district contacts, which was kind of on an ambiguous page in the old policy or in the old exhibits. So we put that right here so that we could list that for any leasing asking for help or contact. So we could put the maintenance person or the custodian or the IT person, whoever is their main source of contact that they would need. And so with that, I think that concludes the update. If you have any other thoughts or comments that we could make it better, or we would like to submit this for.
Questions or comments?
I know it says, found at the district office. Is it something that can be found online if somebody wanted to fill it out before bringing it to the office?
Yes, yeah, we could go ahead and put that online as well. But typically they come with questions, and they do find it online now because sometimes they'll have it printed and they'll bring it and that they have questions. So, but we can work with that. I know a guy who can put it on there.
Thank you, Ms. A, and all staff involved, middle school. Thank you for everything. I know that this month we didn't field a lot of emails and calls as last month, but I do appreciate all the thought and effort that was given to this. And it seems more clear now and detailed. And I think as long as we're communicating, I think we as a board, we're all for sports, for community, recreational sports, for our community. But at the same time, we need to ensure that we're being responsible with our resources, with our limited resources that we get. So I do appreciate you and everyone else. I know it took a lot of time from everyone. I'm just curious to find out how much it cost us when staff hours. But I'm not even gonna go there. But now that it's cleared and fixed, I appreciate that. I think it's very detailed, and until we get another situation, then we might have to relook at it.
We thought of all of it.
So thank you for that, and
Let's not test it.
so thank you for that. So if there are no other questions or comments, I need a motion.
So move.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Delgadillo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So we have Delgadillo on, Mary, for the record. 7.8, approval of revised school parent support organization FY24-SVS.
It's just an annual thing we need to do with the parent groups.
Motion to approve the revised school parent support organization for SVS.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.9, approval of the annual financial report and school level report for FY22-23.
Good evening. We're bringing tonight just our final report for fiscal year 23, our financial report. And you have the an electronic format, the AFR there for your viewing. But I want to go summarize our maintenance and operation and our capital. If we go, here we have what our adopted budget, which our budget revision back in May, which is the 20.112056. And then we have the categories of all of our expenditures for regular education, special education, transportation, and our reading program. which gave us a budget balance of the $964,000. I want to point out that this fiscal year, in fiscal year 23, they asked in the AFR to point out what your fund balances were, like your cash balances compared to your budget balances, what your carryovers were, and how you're going to be spending it, or what is it that you're having to carry forward for. So in our maintenance and operations, if you see our fund balance was the 1.2 million. Actually, we do have a little bit of excess in that cash balance compared to our budget carryover of our 964,000. So the 964,000 is pretty much to maintain financial stability. You know, it's still budgeted within the fiscal year 24 budget, but it's not like specified as, you know, that it's going to be spent. So that's in order in case there's emergencies, you know, for fixtures and emergencies. I don't know, it's happened before for recessions, you know, if you have to get cut somewhere, you're not having to cut, you know, and go into and start furloughing or start stopping any type of expenditure, you know, cutting it off at a certain period. So it's just kind of a financial stability. And if you can see, the 900,000 is really only about 4.8% of our budget. And before, they used to cap us at 4% where you couldn't roll over anymore. But a while ago, they did away with that. But we pretty much kept within that. We're not like carrying and keeping and, you know, just keeping more budget, you know, so we're kind of within the same budget limit, you know, that we have. Okay. And then in our district additional systems, same thing, we have our, the final revised budget in May, which was the 3 million, our expenditures were 1.45. And then it gave us the carryover of the 1.6. But this one, we don't have any excess. So we're pretty much, you know, our cash is where it's supposed to be with the budget. And actually that is already set to be expended, you know, for fiscal year 25. Production.
So what we use for construction stuff. So.
Yeah. So, and actually, but you can see in page 10, you know, you can see, because they want to know on our budget balances for every fund. You know, they want to know on our tax credits, they want to know on our donations, on our impact aid, on every fund. So you can take a look at that, and if you have any questions, let me know. But I wanted to go ahead and point that out, you know, that's something new this year. And then also within that same page, they're asking about the balance policy. The questions that they have is, district have a process or policy it follows to establish a goal, you know, on our balance reserve level to maintain each year. And obviously our answer is no. I think there's only really like two districts within our area, that's what I've been told, that actually have that policy. So I know that that's something that they're going to be looking for us to do. So in our answer to what are you doing, you know, so we're going to be looking, we're going to research and see what the acceptable, you know, level is to have, you know, for carryover funds. But like I said, you know, that 4.8 right now is pretty much kept in place with what was said before they made all those changes. At least when it comes to our maintenance and operation. And then also additional documentation just to, you know, remind you that goes with the AFR is our food service AFR, our CSM narrative report, and then our results and spending report, which did the last year, this year, and then our school level report.
Tell them about the school level school reports. That's the new reports for school level.
Well, actually, this is like the third year for the school level reporting, and it's just a comparison between schools. They want to see what the revenue that, you know, that we get that gets put district-wide, and then they compare it to actually what was spent within each site. You know, so you have in there in your report, there's one for each of the schools that you can view, and you can compare the revenue to the actual expenditures, and then ESS expenditures, they're looking at that also. Any questions?
I have one, but I don't know if it pertains to this specifically. I know we were kind of looking into the possibility of the retention stipends for this third year. I'm that predictable, huh? So how's that looking?
What I want to do first is I want to present Laura She's our new director of finance, which will be in January, so I kind of want to introduce her. She's actually, currently she's the one that does the our escrow.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna let her talk about it. We are gonna talk about it, because I need her.
So we did want to finish out the last year to see where we were with expenditures. With ESER three, we had a 20% set aside requirement on what we needed to spend that money on. And so we're just gonna go back and revisit to see if we can move some things out of the ESER three to make room for that, if we had capacity to give something. We don't know what it's gonna be. It won't be the fact. We know that. We know it won't be quite that much, but we're hoping to give some. So as soon as we kind of sit down and go over that and see what we can move out.
Okay. And you know what? And the reason why I asked is I know with District One, they will be giving a retention for 2,500, and it's for 3 years. But and I was having this conversation, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, you'll get it for 3 years and 2,500. That equals 7,500. We did 5,000 2 years. We already surpassed that amount. So I think it's important when we get those numbers out that we somehow also say that, that, hey, let's, because we literally gave, I think us and the Gadsden district are kind of neck and neck on that. So.
We have to do 5,000 and then 2,500 last year, 2,500 this
Mhm.
year. But
Right.
we went out and paid off.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just something to kind of that I saw, and I said, like, well, yeah, you'll get 7,500 in 3 years. We give our teachers 10 in 2.
But it's
I know. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve the annual financial report and school level report for fiscal year 22-23 as presented.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.10. Discussion provided by ASA Search Consultant on overview of the superintendent search process.
So, President Castillo, members of the board, I'm honored to be here in your home, and I consider it to be a visitor to your home. I grew up in a small town in Michigan, and my goal in life was to visit other friends. It got me away from my mom a little bit. So it was an honor to get to visit other people's homes. And so on behalf of ASA, it's an honor and I'm humbled to be here. Just a little bit about me. I retired as a superintendent 10 years ago. And every year that I'm retired, in my mind, my superintendency gets better. I spent 30 years in the Floyd Health District. Started as assistant principal at the high school in Tucson, and it was a great career. And when I retired, some things found me that I thought were interesting, and one was to help school boards hire their next superintendent. So that now is going on my 9th year of doing that. And this will be number 25, I think. And I've done the second largest district in the state, Tucson Unified, and Bowie, one of the smallest, with 70 students. And each search is unique. Each search is service to your community, your stakeholders. And so I take it very, very seriously. And tonight, this agenda item, I'm just gonna do the overview and ask any questions. This item won't take action, but the next items will. And there's, as they say, there's no such thing as, a stupid question, all right, when it comes to searches. So I want to make sure, you are well informed as we move through this very important process. Let me start. Oh, by the way, I'm from a family of educators. My grandmother was the first woman principal at this school, K-12 school in Gobles, Michigan. My grandfather was the first bus driver, and my dad was the school attorney. Which, when I was going to school, it was a little conflict because he was representing the school board and I was president of the student council, and this will date me. We lobbied the whole year to get the dress code changed so men could grow facial hair and women could wear jeans.
Oh, I want facial hair.
Well, anyway, we got them to change the dress code, but they made it effective the year after we graduated. They didn't want. Simple yet very clear goals that you set forth with ASA. An outcome is to select the highest qualified, best fit superintendent to lead your school district forward. And then the process goal, based on our conversations, is transparency and stakeholder input. In transparency, there is some balance there. Because as you know, through an HR process, that period of time where you're collecting and you're getting applications, you want the best pool, and that needs to be confidential. So during that time, some people say, well, can we see the applications? Well, it will diminish your pool if you disclose who's applying. So there is some balance, but to the degree that we can, it'll be a transparent process with stakeholder input. I'll get into how that happens. Now, please do not be offended. These are recommendations from your consultant. Okay. You know this, but it's similar to when you go in exec session and you do the disclaimer. So there's a couple recommendations after tonight. After tonight, the process is in place. First one is that the board not communicate with the media and direct those media requests to me. And you have my contacts and staff has my contacts, and I will act as your representative. And again, that is to keep that transparency and that it's fair and thorough. And as you know, media, this has happened to me more than a couple, but where they take something and they twist it around and then it's not what you said. So that's a recommendation. We also recommend that you do not contact personally potential applicants. And again, that to keep that fairness. People perceive a contact from you as an edge. They could perceive that. If you have someone that you want to consider applying, go through me, just to contact me. And my job is to recruit for you. My job is to get the word out, to make contacts, but at the same time, make sure it's fair and make sure I don't give the applicant a perception that they have an edge over other applicants. So, again, those are two recommendations. Again, as your agent consultant, they're recommendations. I work for you. So we'll go to the next slide. This gives an overview of the process. Slide for myself, because I'm kind of a visual. The older I get, the more visual I need. So this looks at 6 phases of the process. And we're in phase 1, where we're going to present to you the profile, timeline, and the process of getting community engagement. Then phase 2 is the posting period. That's the time for recruitment. That would be the time if you approve to have a community survey that your stakeholders can complete the community survey to give input. That, by the way, is part of the package. It's not an add-on. Everything in this timeline is part of the whole package, and there aren't additional costs to any part of this timeline. The phase 3 is once we have the applications, ASA does all the work with the application. They have an application, online application. They receive it. It's an online application. When it comes to this phase 3, I will bring copies of all the applications for hard copy for the screening. So we have 10 applicants. Each one of you will have a stack of 10. In that screening, that is done in executive session, and I facilitate that using a rubric that is informed by your profile and by your community input. We don't pre-screen. We don't do a screening and then say, okay, here are the 10 top applicants. We bring all the completed applications, and then I provide the board a summary of those applications based on your required and your preferred applicant or qualities, so that you can have one page with all your applicants and did they have the certification that you required? Yes, no, yes. So we don't screen, and you do that through the screening process that I help facilitate. And then at that meeting in phase 3, you in open session vote to invite applicants to become candidates. So the first interview is, we call them candidates. So in phase 3, you'll select, and you have not put a number, and we don't recommend that you put a minimum or maximum. So phase 3 will be where you, in open session, invite applicants to become candidates, which moves into phase 4, which is your first interview. In phase 4, the interview is done in exec session with your candidates, and then And I go through a process to help to take themes from you, develop questions, and that interview is done in an exec session. And then in phase 4, you select which candidates are going to be finalists. And that moves it into phase 5. And then phase 5 is we recommend a second interview and a community forum, which we facilitate, I facilitate, and it gives your stakeholders an opportunity to develop questions and listen to your finalists answer those questions. Within the state and federal guidelines for interviewing. And then in that phase 5, you select from your finalists a finalist to enter into negotiations with, and then between 5 and 6, you work with your legal counsel to develop a contract. And then in phase 6, you vote to approve the contract. So if we could go to the next slide, this is another kind of a visual of here's what you'll be doing in open session, and here's what you'll be doing in exec session in those 6 phases. So I think I'll pause right now and see if there are any questions.
You know what, I do have some questions. You mentioned the community, there would be like a community survey. How would that be performed to the community? Would it be an online survey? How would we ensure that we reach, the majority of our stakeholders?
It's a great question. So we will provide you with the link. It's a SurveyMonkey product that the license is held by ASA. So there's no additional cost. So we provide you a link and the QR code, and then you can also print hard copies and have them available, and we will get those scanned and get them into the database. And we're recommending the same amount of time for collecting of those surveys as the application period. And then in phase 3, prior to you going into exec session to do your screening, I will present a summary of that community survey. And then that becomes part of the public record also, which is good data for your finalists. That's my recommendation is when you get to finalists, you make sure I will, on your behalf, make sure they have the results of that survey.
And are the questions, do you have a survey already drafted, or is that a survey that we're going to be involved in creating?
So we have one drafted, and I'm going to show you that when we get to that next agenda item.
Okay. Questions or comments? Ask them right now.
You're asking them. It's
Okay.
kind of exciting.
So that's the kind of big picture overview. And then we're going to get into the details with the next agenda item.
So, I mean, let me look at the other agenda items. All right, so this was for discussion. So we're done with 7:10, right? So we're going to move on to 7:11. Discussion and possible action to approve an online superintendent leadership profile community survey as a component of the superintendent search process.
This is the online survey that ASA has developed that, if it's approved and it's part of your package, it's not an add-on. I am the worst at going into a car dealership, and now I can't go into a Verizon store because whatever add-ons and they cost money, I get it. And then I walk out and what the heck? There aren't hidden costs in this search. So, the first item, the first question is, and it's anonymous. The data, the completed surveys go to ASA, and then you get, in the summary, you'll know how many surveys were completed. Out of those surveys, how many were district employees, how many were parents, how many were board members. So there is the data on the survey completed will be disaggregated.
Are they permitted to put more than one, like maybe their parent and their teacher or something like that? Are they allowed to?
Yeah. My understanding is the technology is not such that if they fill out one, they're disqualified for filling out another one. But in my experience, I've not seen a spike in that there were a concerted effort to do duplicate type things. So they could do two. Then the next question is rate the following qualities and characteristics desired. Scale of 1 to 5. And then there are, that's whited out, isn't it? So the first one is vision and strategic planning. The next one is, it's alternate. So educational leadership and innovation. And then collaboration and inclusive leadership. What's the next one? Okay. And then fiscal responsibility and budget. Teacher and staff support and development. Knowledge of local issues and needs. Knowledge of programs like special ed, CTE, fine arts.
Knowledge of operation, facility management, application, business.
And then the next ones are open-ended response. And the only redactment, and it's very rare, that we do is if somebody makes a comment that violates federal, state law, because this becomes part of your public record. So, for example, if they're naming someone, we redact, because if you have that as a public document and you didn't notify this person that, and so that's the only, I'll use the word, the only censoring of the comments would be if we, and many times we'll have the legal counsel of ASA weigh in. It's rare, but it's happened maybe once where we said, should we redact or not? So there's really a good balance between the Likert scale type 1 to 5, and then open-ended where we talk about the strengths and then look at the challenges, and then any additional comments. And you get all of those comments in the summary.
I like it that it's short and it's in Spanish too. So,
And it's been double checked with someone in the office, editor at ASA, who's bilingual. And that's one of the revisions that was made, was to shorten up some of the other surveys that are out. So this one would take an action, and then again, we would get to your staff the link, the QR code, and then it's your survey, so you can print it. And
so when you're saying our staff, so who would be the one facilitating that to our community? Would it be Dr. Knoll? Would it be Ms. Say? Mr. Duarte? Okay.
Get it out, but
So if I get the link to the survey, I can, send it out to all staff members and all students / parents. And then as far as media, I assume Dr. Norman say can talk to media about blasting it, about KYMA or.
well, how long does it stay out? What would be the end date of the survey?
so
It was on the timeline, right?
it was on
It
the
was on the
timeline. It's about about
About a month.
a little less than a month. Because what we want to be able to do is compile that data, and we need a day or two to do that. Because when I come back for the screening, we'll present you the results before you go into exec session, do your screening.
So it says on phase one, phase two is the posting, recruiting, community survey / input. So would we have it done by November 27th then?
Yes.
Or is that like October 18th to November 27th? And we can, we can ask, we can ask at the city council meeting, we can see if anybody would like, we could try to just kind of get it out to all the different entities in the community. We need to also get to East San Luis, the community there.
Right. Yeah, that was part of the question. I want to make sure that that everybody gets an opportunity that lives within our school boundaries. So,
Our district boundaries actually extend all the way to the border, so it includes the east side of San Luis. Gadsden School District is on our west, and then we go all from Somerton all the way down to the border, and there's a community down there that is a little bit separated right now from Somerton, but we have a school down there and we're building school.
And once you get the code, you can do
that'll be Antonio's job. Any questions on the surveys or anything? Questions?
I just think it's great that we're getting the community involved. I love that. I love that the transparency is there, that everybody has a say in who our next leader is going to be. So that's amazing. I love that.
So we're taking action right now on the community survey. So if there's no more questions or anything, I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries for the survey. 7.12, discussion and possible action to approve the position announcement to be published on the ASA website. And there are letters on executive content.
So, Mr. President and members of the board, this is the document, if approved, that will be on the ASA website. It'll also, we will provide you, your staff, with the link to the position opening document and the application. We'll also, I have a part-time position with NAU, so we copy and paste it and get it out as we cast as wide a net as possible. I believe ASA has also links with other state associations. So the survey, I've got to commend your staff because I took the last one you did and did some, took your website and did some wordsmithing, and then sent it to your staff, and they cleaned it, polished it, did a tremendous amount of work to get this to this point. So.
The only thing I see that we might want to adjust on this is I don't see any comment about the East San Luis area. We've almost focused on the city of Somerton. Should we maybe add a sentence about that area?
It's your posting, so any edits, is there someone who's, any edits will, we want to make them tonight, and then there's an agenda item to designate someone on the board to give final approval to the posting. So you're still within the word limit on the posting, so definitely
I drafted a little comment. I put Somerton School District includes the city of Somerton and the eastern side of the city of San Luis adjacent to the commercial port of entry. Add the location correctly. I thought that could maybe be up towards the top when it says that talks about the Somerton community.
Yeah, I do think it's a good idea to include that part.
It would just be one sentence.
Mhm.
in it, too.
Yeah, that sounds okay by me. I mean, what do you guys think? You good? Ms. Torres? So when we make the motion, we'll just add that verbiage.
you'll say as edited by the board, so you can just make one motion
Right.
rather than.
Mhm.
So let's move down, if you could, to position requirements. And again, these are required and then preferred. When I do my review of the applications, I'm going to put these in a spreadsheet so you'll know which applicants met the required and which ones met preferred. So I'll let you kind of look at that. Are there any requirements that you want to either take out or move to preferred? And same thing with preferred, move to requirements. The more requirements you have, that limits your pool. Doesn't mean that it just, because if you choose a applicant to become a candidate that didn't meet the requirements, then you could have a possible job action complaint, lawsuit from someone in your applicant. And I'm not your legal counsel. I just that's why it's real. We've got to be real clear about what are the requirements, and then the preferred. there's a lot more leeway with the preferred. You'll give, on the rubric that we create, it gives them weighted to preferred, but it's not the same as that requirement. So right now you have current Arizona superintendent's cert or applied for at the time of the application. And for example, many states have reciprocity, but they have to apply. So as long as they've given evidence on the application that they've applied, they would have met the requirement. Teaching experience, 3 years as a principal or district admin, and a master's from an accredited university. Those are the, right now, based on the last time you went through this process and input from your staff. We good?
I'm good with that. Are you guys okay with those requirements and preferred? Yeah.
So the knowledge and skill, those are kind of, it's not every knowledge and skill you're going to be looking for, but that gives you some ideas of the, it is a job description that we tweaked a little bit from your last posting, but these are those areas that you're going to determine through the screening and then interviews and the community forum. All right, let's move. Again, staff provided this information and did it in a very timely manner, which is very helpful. And the salary range, again, your staff helped by doing a comparability study. And again, this is going to be your call as board. So.
You have that in your executive context, the item. You have Estes here, and she did a comparison for current market.
You're the first client that has done that in 9 years, has done that kind of data gathering. And typically, we don't put the benefits of that is negotiated and candidates, this is what they look at, the base salary.
Is that range what you all have in mind to put on this, do you think?
I mean, if that's what the analysis said, that's what the analysis said, right?
Do you have,
Yeah, I saw it.
When Nick sent the posting, I reviewed the information and we should compare all our salaries to the base of the local market. And so I had sent that information to him and increased the information here based on the original posting. And this does include a base of 145 with up to 5 years maximum, which is over even our other admin. And so that's where we get the update and then estimates. And this is for next school year, so I projected the amount and confirmed the finance that this is doable for the 24-25 school year. And the additional benefits are not specifically mentioned because I figured those would be negotiated at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it falls within the range and everything.
thanks for doing that.
Ready to move into the timeline. Again, I looked at, to the best of my ability, your calendar, but there are things you know that obviously I don't. So this is a timeline based on what I knew and kind of your staff. And so if you look at the, if the vacancy is approved tonight, we've set it up where it can get, the edits can get then approved if you designate someone to do that. And we can get it posted and the application live on October 18th. Then there's the application period, which is typically about a month. We gave a little more time, but November 27th is the what we're suggesting for the closing. Okay? And as we move through, I will provide your staff with updates as far as the number of applications. So I'll say we have, and as of today, we have 10 applications. Can't give the names and any information.
Will you provide it to staff or to the board?
We'll give it to your staff as your point, and then I try to follow the district's communication protocol for communicating to the board. So
That works, no, that works.
yeah. So I'll communicate to you through your whatever protocol that you normally do. So it's for your information and doesn't violate open meeting law to say, you know, as of today, after 3 weeks or 2 weeks, we've got X number of applications.
So on the December date, that December 13th is a Wednesday. Tuesday, the 12th would be our normal board meeting date, correct? So would you rather do the applicant screening of governing board on the 12th instead of the 13th, or do you want to keep it on Wednesday?
No, I think we would need, I think for, at least for me, I think we need to do that just separate. So that, because if we have our board meeting, then, I mean, we stay later for that, I think it's gonna be too much. I mean, I think that's something, I don't know, I mean, I think,
Whatever you all want, you can either make one longer evening or
Yeah.
break it up.
so I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd say, at least for me, I would just have that, just come in and focus on that itself. That way, I mean, and on the dates, we don't have to decide on a date right now, do we?
The date on the timeline search, so interviews and things like that, we probably should look ahead to see if they are doable dates. I mean, you know, so that when we post this, we post it with, they would know when we are expecting to interview, right?
I would recommend, if we can, to finalize this timeline with the idea that we have some language at the end that says that it's subject to
Okay.
board change.
Right, okay,
So look at
And-
January 9th, says candidate interviews with the board, and January 9th is the Tuesday, the second Tuesday of the month. It's the first Tuesday from, back from holiday. But do you have your city meeting on the 9th? Or no?
no, I mean, I'm looking at the calendar, if we need to do it that week, I mean, I mean, I think this is important, is if we're gonna be screening for all board to be in attendance. I mean, I can block off right now Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I mean, I'm hoping that it won't take us those 3 days, right? But I'm, at least if we all block off those 3 days, it'll give us enough time, that way we don't, I mean, I don't want us to rush.
Date? On which time?
That same week, that Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I mean,
On which week? Which week?
December,
Oh, December.
yeah, I'm looking at that same week,
December 13th,
Mhm.
for the screening.
I mean, we could do, I don't know if a day would be suffice.
So,
Because we don't know how many
Yeah,
applicants.
And it depends on the number of
Right.
applications. Usually it is accomplished in a day, but it's usually 3 to 4 hours to do
Three to-
screening with, say, 10 to 12 applications. So, and my recommendation is if you can, do it in one day,
Right.
then you have the fairness thing that you've not had any time in between that something, you know, if word got out that this person was an applicant and I'm the worst case scenario guy. And because I want to protect you and the process. So if we could, right now, schedule it for December 13th and block kind of that afternoon, or it's going to be 3 to 4 hours, I believe. And then you're going to have an open meeting afterwards that doesn't usually take a lot of time, but the screening, I don't want to rush it, but so if you could kind of block out the 13th as far as either late afternoon.
I mean, it would probably have to be at 5, like at, 5:30. I mean, everyone's working.
5:30 to 8:30.
Oh, Mary, make sure that we have food. Does that work for you all? Ms. Ariola,
Yes.
Ms. Torres? Because it'd be great. I mean, I know emergencies do happen, but I think this is one where, I'm hoping that we all can make it.
Now, for the candidate interviews, again, this is going to be determined by the number of applicants that you invite to be candidates. And normally we recommend a 1-hour interview for each of your candidates. And I have a client right now that has selected 2 dates for those interviews in case they need it. Because they can't start until 5 o'clock. And let's say you have 4 candidates. That'll be challenging to do that in one day. So, you could, and again, with those interviews, you have to make sure that there's no, if you do it over 2 days, you can't discuss any, stuff. So,
The 9th is a Tuesday, so if we needed longer, it could go the 10th, right? Wednesday.
But on the 9th, we also have our board meeting.
That's true.
So I'd say we just do the same thing, January 10th. And schedule them. I mean, unless you guys want to do a Saturday, but.
and I will also, I have done with clients Saturday.
I mean,
I have no problem
Yeah, that's fine.
meeting with.
I'm good with.
Flexible. I'm flexible.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think I could do Wednesday if you guys want to do a Saturday. I mean, But we're looking at, let's say, looking at the dates that, just to keep it within that same week, either January 10th, which is that Wednesday, or, I mean, I can, the 10th, the 11th, or the 13th, which is a Saturday. I mean, we can start like at 8 o'clock and,
You want to plan on the 10th and just kind of know when your calendar is set aside in case you how many applicants you determine?
I'm good either way, so I don't know
Moving more towards Saturday.
Yeah, me too.
how, Saturday, Saturday the 13th? Does that work? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna block it in then right now. So, you wanna start at, what time do you guys wanna start? 9?
Yeah.
I thought 8 was a little bit, could be a little bit too early, being that it's a Saturday. Does 9 work? Let me just put it here. And just block off the whole day, just in case.
Yeah.
And then, the finalist interviews, again, you're not locking yourself into how many finalists. But that would include,
Oh, hold on. Just know, looking at the calendar, it's a 3-day weekend on that Saturday. FYI, just for the record, it's MLK. I'm still good with that day, but just.
Changes things.
We're good? Yeah. Okay.
so
Yeah.
the,
Okay.
the finalist interview, the second interview, which we tentatively said, January 31st, would include a interview with the board, and normally I recommend a half-hour interview with the board. You've already done the hour. And then a community forum at a time that you believe, and you don't need to set the time for the community forum right now, but we highly recommend a community forum on that day that you're interviewing finalists. And then we also I recommend that we do a tour of the district for the finalists, individual tours. So if there are 2 finalists, we schedule their tour and then schedule their interview within that day. And by the way, the board has no financial obligation to pay any expenses for a candidate to come interview, or a applicant to come interview. It's considered a gift of public funds. So that's on your finalists or your candidates to do that. So, again, typically 2 or 3, but you're not, if you want 4 finalists, it's your process. And what I recommend is we kind of lock that day in, and for your calendars to include that half-hour interview, and then the community forum, you would consider posting that there might be a quorum attending this event. It's not your meeting. It's a separate event, and it's not an extension of the open meeting that you're going to be having. You'll interview in exec session, pause the exec session, go to the community forum, and then we recommend you come back can continue your exec session with deliberation, and you'll have feedback from your community forum, because at the community forum, your stakeholders that attend will get two cards. One card will be, I'd like to pose a question to the finalists. You write that on. And then at the end, and all this stuff is done anonymous. At the end, they get the feedback, and then I bring those cards to your exec session where you're deliberating. And then the only, it's not censoring, but the only redaction, we have them fill out cards. We don't have an open mic at the forum, because we don't want a violation of state or federal laws with somebody getting up and asking a question that isn't an appropriate question, and then you've got the awkwardness of saying, for me, and say, we can't, the finalists can't answer that question because it, so we have them fill out the cards, and then I look through the cards before the forum starts, and basically take out the ones that might violate. And it's rare, but it does happen.
So we gotta block off another date, right?
Yeah, January 31st.
So that's on a Wednesday. If we're gonna do the forum and all of that, we need a good 3 hour, what do you think, 2-3 hours? You wanna move that to Saturday too? Yeah,
I think for, I don't know, I think for forums, I think during the week is when the parents are already kind of, or even when once the that process is already out. Thinking about that, I don't know if you want to come back out.
in the evening. Just have it started like at 5 then? What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
On that Wednesday, the
I agree with
31st?
Ms. Torres, yes.
You're good with that? I'm good either way.
And then you would schedule your interviews prior to that, the half-hour interview with the finalists. So if you have your forum at 5,
No,
You
well,
want to do your thing at 5.
yeah, we would start at 5 and then we'd have the forum like at 6.
okay, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But you can decide that when you get to that point and
Right.
you know how many finalists you have.
But block those dates, that way we're good.
So then at that meeting on the 31st, the plan would be for you in open meeting after your interviews, after the forum, after your deliberations, that you would come back into open session and then have an agenda item to make a motion to enter into contract negotiations. And I will provide the recommended language for these motions, that you would enter into negotiations with, then it's with your attorney to develop the contract, and then at a future meeting, you approve. Any questions? So if you, with this motion, it would be to approve the posting with the edits provided by the board.
Mhm. No questions or anything? I just have a question on looking at the narrative questions. Could we add something regarding conflict management
And so we have a separate agenda item
Oh.
for the questions. Great question. Those were just provided as a starting point.
Okay,
So when we get to that agenda item,
all right, so we need an action on 7.12. Need a motion? Just make sure we include the motion with the edit.
I make a motion to approve the position announcement to be published on the ASA website with the recommended edits by the board.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.13, discussion and possible action to approve to designate a board member to act on behalf of the board to approve the edit final copy of the position announcement.
so this will expedite getting this posted so that you don't have to have another meeting to approve the edit. So it will, so the edits will be made, and if you approve someone on the board to final approve them, send them to me, and we'll get it posted.
Who wants to do it? Yeah, we need a motion to designate someone.
Motion to approve the designated board member.
But who?
Juan Castillo, I recommend. Me too.
I second.
So motion was made by Ms. Ariola, second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So that'll be me, Mary. 7.14, discussion and possible action to approve incorporating up to 4 specific questions into the application process for the position of the district superintendent.
We could bring the questions back up from the posting.
I think that's
At
where
the end of the
that's where I jumped the gun.
So part of the application process is an open-ended text where I think they have a limit of 250 words. And then you will review, and they'll be part of the rubric scoring in the application. So these are in the application. These are separate from that first interview. The first interview, at the screening meeting, you'll provide me themes to develop questions for the interview. So these are the ones that are going to be in the application. Mr. President, you had a suggestion?
Yeah, I like those questions, but I really would like, an open-ended question, with conflict management. Maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking kind of like a small scenario, or I don't know. That's what I was kind of thinking. I don't know. What do you guys?
Do we want that in the application or in like part of the interview process?
No, just part of just to see how this would be more like a narrative question. Yeah. I would. Okay, that makes sense. Make a note of that. Yeah.
You guys, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like, they don't have that much time to think about it.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true that. I like
it
that.
better.
I like that. Good idea.
Say it in a mean way, so they have to be like.
Not give them time. They gotta be quick on their feet, right?
We'll, We'll integrate these into the online application. And I believe it's a 250 word.
It says 200 there, so either way it's fine. 2 or
Won't
250.
be the first time I'm wrong.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark. Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you. It's very exciting. I was reading your, children are priority, personal best, our goal. I love it. So I'm looking forward to, and I will try to do my personal best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So moving on to announcements. I have 8.1 ASBA/ASA Annual Conference, December 6th through the 8th. Please let Mary know if you will be attending so that she can make those reservations and whatnot. Also, there will be the ASBA Yuma County meeting. It's scheduled for Wednesday, October 25th. It's going to be at Southwest Junior High. The Gadsden School District will be hosting us. So please let Mary know if you're planning on attending. I'll be there, Mary.
Me too, ma'am.
Yeah, they need a count. The sooner we give them a count, the better. Ms. Delgadillo?
I'll be there too.
Perfect. So,
I'll be working.
I'll be attending.
I'll be there. I'll be there too.
October 25th at, yeah, at it's at Southwest Junior High. I know Gadsden is planning a big student entertainment. They're awesome. They're mariachis and everything. So looking forward to that. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark.
Second.
Second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.